Hello and welcome to the Listening Post's unboxing channel on YouTube. Today I'm unboxing the brand new turntable from Pro-Ject, their T1 Evo. Now, as you would expect by its model number, this replaces the T1. Now, the T1 was only available in gloss black. This will be in 3 colours. We'll explain that in a moment. The T1 also sat brilliantly as a price and quality point between some of the budget entry-level products from Pro-Ject and its competition, and the classic, brilliant debut. The T1 on its own is a combination of feature sets and quality sets. It's got an arm that trickles down from some of the older debuts, for example, a cartridge that was used in some of the older turntables, etc. Right? It's kind of a collaboration also, because it utilises, instead of a steel, wood or plastic platter, it uses a glass one. It also uses a small central pulley wheel, so it's a departure on some of the classic designs that Pro-Ject have done. Nevertheless, it was extremely popular. The Evo shares improvements in the arm and other makeups, which we will see. In fact, look, if you want to see the T1 video, there it is. Now, importantly, this one, the Evo, along with the original T1, has a phono preamp built in, and you can turn that phono preamp on and off, so it's defeatable. Basically, it means, like today, out of the box, no matter what you've kind of got, even if you're just starting with a sound bar or a very modest speaker, you can plug it directly in. There's no need for a separate phono preamp. And then as your system evolves, you can turn the phono preamp off and utilise what is probably going to be a better one inside a decent amplifier. So it's really, really good from a longevity perspective. Also, because it's got an older styled arm, it's one that's tried and true. So the cartridge mechanism, the clamping and all of those things is standardised, and so any number of little upgrades can be made. The OM10 cartridge could be replaced with a 2M if you stay with Audiophile, or one of the Pro-Ject Picket range, or any number of really credible upgrade options could be added. So that's brilliant to see. Nevertheless, let's have a look. Okay, like all the turntables from Pro-Ject, they're in a white box, big printed Pro-Ject logo. On both ends we see information associated with its model, the cartridge that's on board. Obviously it's a T1 Evo Phono, the cartridge that's on board, which is the OM10, and the colour option, this today is in walnut. There's also scannable information for both the serial number and product code, and of course its weight as far as packaging. This one, like its predecessor, sits there at about 6.5 kilos. Emulation of everything else. Okay. Opening these is really straightforward. They're sealed closed with white sort of paper tape. So opening them is really, really easy. Be careful as always when you're cutting across the top. Don't let the knife drag too deep, and you'll see exactly why here. Because directly in the top, the very first thing you see is all of the accessories, and it would be dreadful to have a knife blade through that. So let's quickly drill into those. Tipping all that out. Right, the first thing is a lovely full colour, I think it's an A2, oh no, a couple of A3, setup brochure. Okay, it's specific to it, lots of pictures, explanations on how to assemble and get things operational. There's a cartridge alignment card. It's just a little piece of, well, it's just card, it's stiff paper, and some contact information in all languages associated with warranty and distributors internationally. What's excellent to see is Pro-Ject have added a basic tip scale with this in their accessories, enabling you to be able to set the 1, 2 and 3 gram weights. The OM10 sits at about 2 grams, by the way, so tip scale included. We've got the Pro-Ject screened interconnecting cables, and you can clearly see, look, as always, hang around for the photos. Nevertheless, you'll clearly see that the yellow tags are arrow, and that's for going into the amplifier. The other end is for the turntable. Now, because it's got a phono preamp on board, and because it's designed to go with a myriad of different speaker options, it actually comes with a 3.5mm to 2 RCA adapter, although in this instance it's 2 RCA to 3.5mm, to allow you to plug that into a myriad of different things, including perhaps portable speakers. There's a 45 adapter and Allen key. The Allen key is for adjusting the arm if required, and Pro-Ject's belt. It's screen printed Pro-Ject. Nevertheless, the last in the top is the felt mat. Okay. And then get rid of the plastic bag. The next thing is simply to remove a piece of cardboard that protects the top. Okay. And we see here the lid is suspended inside some folded cardboard to ensure that it sits without being scratched or damaged in transit. In fact, the way that it sits quite deep into the box means you've realistically got to have a pretty disastrous and really obvious accident in freight before it's going to damage the lid. The bag itself is one of those sort of semi-soft, almost polished cloth bags, so it means immediately the lid arrives completely scratch-free, and the Pro-Ject logo central. Then we see a couple of things. The first is a couple of pieces of closed-cell foam. Now that's to protect the surface of the turntable from any vibration in transit, or stack a few of these high and so on, from the folded cardboard that supports the lid. Okay. Now the next part is actually to cut away the protection that is holding the turntable in place. This comes sort of pre-assembled in many respects. So to stop the central pulley wheel from moving around, it's held in place with a little piece of cardboard and rudimentary punched through. Now we get to see sort of the first glimpse of the turntable itself. Okay. And putting that off to one side because there's a few things we need to be aware of as we drill further into the packaging. This little triangle has just supported the base of the turntable and stopped the main bearing from touching anything beneath. Then sort of loosely taped in place is the turntable's power supply. So it's in a little box. Look for that, obviously. In the box, it's good to see that we have just the New Zealand power adapter. It's not unusual for turntables nowadays to come with every adapter except for the one we need, and that clicks in place really easily. Now, like the rest of the range, it is a standard 15 volt power supply. Okay, a couple of pieces of polystyrene to then secure in place the last piece that we will need, which is the platter. Now the platter has its own bag. It's quite heavy. It's designed to have a significant amount of inertia. It's frosted on the underside, so it's worthy of mentioning that. Put that down to one side, okay, and off that goes. Now, the turntable is simply then held in place with a plastic bag, so it protected the last bit. The hole from the cardboard that's been pushed on to keep the pulley wheel in place has punched through the bag, so sort of remove that. Then there's a couple of pieces of closed cell foam, one at the back of the turntable to support the counterweight and stop the arm from moving around, and one at the front to support the arm. These are designed to ensure the arm doesn't move or bounce, and I guess to support some of the potentially delicate bearings in transit. Okay. Now the arm, as I said, is a trickle down, and essentially at first glance it's out of the debut turntable from a few years ago. What they've added in factory fitted is a fixed weight. That's to ensure that it's kind of coming very close to a plug and play, you know, ready to go basically. So you basically remove the twist tie, take the cap off the stylus, and away you go. There's a raise lower, it's oil dampened, so you can lift the arm quickly up and then down it slowly lowers on to the record. You've got a central pulley wheel. This is a departure from the predecessor. The previous one had a small metal pulley wheel. This one's gone with a slightly larger diameter plastic pulley wheel, and again a central bearing. Very, very well engineered given its price. You'll see a single drive off the motor. It's because the motor itself is governed with a speed box on board, and it gives it the ability to play 33s and 45s at the click of a switch. There's some light assembly required, which we're just going to do now because it's quick and easy. And that's to first put the belt on both the motor drive and the central pulley. Give it a quick turn just to make sure it's all sort of operational and there's no issues, and then drop the platter on. And it starts to look very much like a turntable at this point. The felt mat is optional, and it can be used to reduce the microscopic vibrations that the glass platter may have, although some people do prefer that sort of liveliness, or at least that's the way it's described, a little bit more life to the music if they use it without the felt mat. That's yours to decide. Now, like the previous Pro-Ject, debut, this has the older school plastic feet. They're independently suspended, and they've got a little felt pad on them. There's 3 on the unit, and they're not levelable, but you could, if you really needed to, add some washers or other things. But at this level, we're not going to get too fussy about the minute tolerances associated with the difference in very small level changes. At the side, as I mentioned, we've got the power switch. Now that is obviously 2 position to give the 2 speeds required, and centrally it's in the off position. At the rear, very straightforward as far as how you make the connections. You'll see firstly the ground connection, then the red, right and white for left output. You also see very discreetly in the back the 15 volt power input. Now look, as always, hang around for the photographs. You'll see close-ups of all of these main things. Nevertheless, it's at the back that we also see the ability to change this from line out, or which is phono on, or phono out, which is the phono off. Phono out, of course, is when you're connecting it to an amplifier with a phono input, and line would be when you're connecting it to an amplifier either via an auxiliary input or use the adapter supplied to go into some lesser speaker or soundbar. From a final assembly perspective, we're just going to put the lid on, and then it looks very, very much complete. So there we have it. Pro-Ject's brand new T1 Evo turntable. Now look, technically it's the T1 Phono Evo, but you know, T1 Evo, that's what everybody's going to call it. Unboxed here, with pride, here at the Listening Post in Christchurch, New Zealand. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel.